So, I have Googled the exact same thing that you did, and that's why we are here. Hopefully, I can give you some good beginner tips on how to start off as a sport photographer. So, how are we even looking right now? Looks pretty good. First off, I want you to know that there's a big ass competition in the sport photography field. So it's gonna be really hard to stand out from the mass and so-called win the competition, but don't compete with the others. Do you. Do your own style. Don't compare yourself to other guys, other photographers, sport photographers, because they might have been in the field for 20 years. You are just starting off, so give yourself time, okay? But now to the 5 points on how to become that photographer who takes those pictures that small kids and young kids want to print out on their wall. First off, if any possibility, use 2 cameras. It doesn't matter, is it 2 APS-C cameras or 2 mirrorless, Canon and a Sony and a Nikon or whatever, it's a mirrorless and an APS-C whatsoever. If possible, use 2 cameras. And the reason for that is keep one camera, the one camera that you know in and out, that you could operate with your eyes closed. Keep one lens on that. You know you're gonna get some good pictures with that camera. So just leave it on if possible, and on the second camera if you have one. There, change lenses, try out different focal lengths, try out different settings. On the main camera, keep that one lens on. On the second camera, do whatever you feel like. And 2 cameras is actually good, because when you have one camera that is always ready and you know in and out, you see a situation. If you're not sure about your second camera, grab the first one and just blast it, like you gotta blast it, because it's sport photography, that it's gone in a second. Just pick it up and just shoot. This is like the second point, but still like 1.1. It's like continuing to the first one. I don't know. If you only have one camera and you're, for example, shooting basketball, use that one camera with one lens the first quarter, change the lens to the second quarter, and maybe even to the third quarter. But for example, if you have just 2 lenses and one camera, use one lens the first quarter, second lens the second quarter, and then you already know what kind of pictures you are gonna get. So for the third and fourth quarter, pick either one, or then you continue. You go back, third quarter, first lens, fourth quarter, second lens. And that's a nice bridge to the third point. Lenses. For me, I always carry with me the 28-75 f2.8. That's like my go-to lens if I need to choose one, and that's the lens I would especially shoot basketball with if I had only one lens. You could get those close-ups by the basket, but then again you could get those epic wide shots, for example, under the basket. Second lens I would go with is the 70-180 Tamron f2.8. That's because you can get, for example, a guy throwing free throws, you can get really close up, simplistic, clean background, and otherwise as well, you can get really clean backgrounds, which is a huge thing in sports photography, with the 70-180 or 70-100, whatever you have. So that would be my 2 go-to lenses, 28-75 and the 70-180 Tamron lenses. And why Tamron? Because they're cheap. Okay, they're not cheap, but they are cheaper, and they're actually really good. I basically only use Tamron lenses at the moment. Number 4. One thing you gotta know, if you go watch a basketball game, you're gonna see the whole game, it's good lighting and everything, but actually in that arena or stadium or wherever you are, it's shit lighting. It's gonna be dark. It's gonna be way darker than you could ever imagine, especially looking through a camera, because you want to have a high shutter speed to freeze the moment, and when you pump up that shutter speed, that's gonna get dark. Even if you get your aperture wide open, you pump your shutter speed to 1/1000 or even higher, it's gonna get dark. And that's why you should know your settings, because when you pump up the shutter speed, you got your aperture wide open. Don't be afraid to push up the ISO. Okay, I'm not a gear expert. I don't know about Canon or Nikon or whatever. I use Sony. I know about Sony. I'm not afraid to pump up the ISO on my Sony, because I know it handles it that good. And in Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever you are using, you could try to save it a little bit, the grain and digital noise and everything that is coming with the ISO. But don't be afraid of ISO. Use it. If it goes too high and it's really grainy, make the picture a vintage picture. That's easy. Put more grain on. Make it look like a film. I don't know. Do something about it. Use the picture if it's good. Number 5 is really important, especially if you only know like a few players playing. For example, in basketball again, when the players come out to warm-ups, check out who's the fool, who's the showman, who does the dunks, who does the dribbles, who passes, who gives the alley-oops. Check those out on both teams. At the warm-ups, you're gonna see who does them all. So in the game, when you see the guy who is always driving to the basket, trying to do a layup or a dunk, you know right away, he gets the ball at the 3-point, okay, he's gonna go to the basket, I know it. And then, voila, he's at the basket doing a layup, dunk, whatever, but you were ready. You always need to think a little bit further. And a bonus in between, you obviously has to know the game. You know when a guy is gonna do a dribble, you know when a guy is gonna try out a dunk, they're getting a 2-on-1, the other one is gonna give an alley-oop. This is what I learned already when I played professional as well, not basketball. Football, floorball, you probably don't know about it. I played as a goalie. I always looked at the opposite side at warm-ups because I could spot the guys that is gonna do certain things. I know who's got a good shot. I know what the other goalkeepers suck at, so I can tell my teammates. And the same basically goes to photography. Check the players out, know the players. The better you know the players, the better you know their moves, the better pictures you're gonna take. Sorry if that was a bit messy part, but yeah, basically know your players. Last but not least, thank you all for the love on the POV basketball video. I'm gonna link it in the end of this video. It's my first video to go over 10K, so thank you very much. If you have questions about sports photography, basketball photography, please leave them here in the comments down below and I will answer them on another video. Remember to like and subscribe here on YouTube and go over to my Instagram at kimi.elias. Follow me there. I make content all around, so see you around, and once again, thank you.